As all of you know by now, there's a lot of Indian men living outside of India. And oftentimes they're extremely smart, hardworking, successful in their careers, but often they also seem to be struggling to integrate socially, and especially when it comes to the topic of relationships and dating, they have a hard time breaking out of the arranged marriage culture, even though many of them are actually very open to having a cross cultural relationship. Oftentimes they have this belief that they're actually not deserving, that they're not valuable or attractive enough. And oftentimes they also have the belief that women in the West just aren't compatible or aren't the kinds of women that they would like to date or even marry. And so what we have today here in this conversation is a very clear counterexample. And we have Kristina with us. And Kristina is a woman who is married to an Indian man who moved abroad. And it's a bit sad that this is such a sensation. It is something rather rare, and I thought I should have a conversation with you. And you also actually reached out to me on Instagram saying, "Hey, I like your content. It is really weird that Indian men don't seem to be that confident on average." And I was very grateful for that. So I'm happy to have you here and have a little conversation about the whole topic. Why do you think it is that so few Western women end up marrying Indian men?
Um, to be honest, I don't have any statistics, but if you say it's rare, I will take your word on it. Um, I think some role might be the family playing for the family pressure there. Maybe some people feel like they are not allowed to marry somebody from a different culture, and maybe they prioritize the wish of the family and not their own. And part of it might be because they maybe think like they do not have anything to offer, or maybe they are not good enough for Western women. And mm, I don't know. I'm not an expert in the topic. I just know how our relationship or dating phase looked like, how our marriage phase looked like, and I just don't see myself any obstacles or issues why shouldn't it work. So even now you asking me, I have to, like, my brain is going like this, thinking like, what are the issues, what are the obstacles, because I just don't see any.
Wow.
I had to really think hard and say, okay, like, I know some families might not be as open to that, so that I know can be one of the reasons, but other than that, I don't know.
Maybe you are just a very special kind of Western woman. Maybe you can tell us a bit about your background
Hmm.
and what you do in life in general.
So I come from Slovakia. I have lived now here in Berlin for 3.5 years or 4 years almost, and I have moved here to be with my husband, who lived here already for almost a decade, or at the time when we met. So I come from Slovakia. I live here for 4 years, and back in Slovakia, I was working in an office as a facilities coordinator. So I was taking care of the office itself. It was a big company, many hundreds of people, and my job was to take care of the space. Um, right now, I am starting my own business here in Berlin. I want to take it slow, but yeah, I'm not employed currently in Berlin. I do my own thing.
Mhm. And take us back to that initial phase when you first met. Actually, how did you even meet your husband?
I have seen in your profile that you're not very pro dating platforms, but we met online. Let's say online. We met online. It was 7 or 8 years ago. Yes, in Slovakia.
In Slovakia,
In
right?
Slovakia. So I
Okay.
was in my hometown. I was living my life, and he was traveling, and we met in my hometown. And since then, we have been together. Or like there was a progress. Like we did a long distance relationship at first and stuff, but we met online.
Cool. It's true that I don't coach people, I don't support people who want to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
it does work for many
Yeah.
people. Just that it seems like for my audience, Indian men, it doesn't seem to work so well. Do you remember if it worked well for your husband?
Well, I hope so.
It did in the
I
end.
hope so.
But before he met you, do you know if it worked?
So I know that men in general don't have it as easy on online platforms like dating platforms. So I also like kind of refuse to believe it's an Indian specific thing. I think men in general have it harder online than compared to women. So yeah, I think the ratio between like how many opportunities men and women have when it comes to online dating, it's very there is a big difference there. So I guess he wasn't that successful, but I am happy because probably I am benefiting from that. So yeah.
And how was your own experience with the dating scene before you met your husband?
Um, so I have been single for 10 years before we got together. And when we talk a bit about this podcast, you sent me some questions, and there was one of them was, um, what were your intentions when you started dating? And to be honest, I have been single for 10 years, and my very clear intention was I realized I have to jump because I realized if I don't, maybe it will be harder later in life. So my intention was to just jump and let's see where it takes me. I think his intention, I asked him a couple of days ago. Couple of days ago, he told me he wanted to try it out. But from his actions, I can say that he was not looking up for a hookup, let's say. His actions from beginning were very clear on this being something significant.
And how did your relationship start off, especially given that there was this cultural gap? Did you have any experience with people from different cultures before? Was it something new for you?
Again, I don't have any specific numbers, but I come from Slovakia, which is in the middle of the Europe, and there are not many different cultures where I come from. So I didn't have any experience with Indian people or people like in general. I remember that when I was younger, when you saw a black person coming on the street, it was a sensation. So coming from Slovakia, I didn't have any experience. And also that means none of my friends dated a guy from India, so I had no experience whatsoever.
How come you were open to that?
Why would I not be open to that? Like, why would I not be open
Because
to
no one else is doing it?
what do but why? I just don't understand. Like, I was always again, I will try to word it very carefully, but I think it's natural that people have preferences. My preference when it comes to attraction was always what basically is an Indian guy. So I don't want to sound superficial, but yeah, we have also this part of us. And for me, the darker skin, darker hair, the facial hair, the body hair, the look of an Indian guy, for me that's very attractive. So I didn't see any reason why would I not do it. That was always my type, which sadly for me in Slovakia I didn't see a lot. But anyway, I didn't see any reason why not to. I remember I saw his profile. I remember seeing his profile. I saw his profile. He was tall, dark, handsome. He had a picture with a dog. I love dogs. I had a dog at the time. I saw he lives in Berlin. I loved Berlin. I was like, yes. I didn't see any reason why not. So, yeah.
Cool. Do you think there are lots of women out there whose type is actually darker guys?
Are there women who
Whose type is not?
whose type is not a darker guy? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to like be offensive, but I cannot imagine there is somebody who doesn't like a handsome darker guy, or not even or even not a handsome darker guy, a darker guy
Got it.
who has that spark or that vibe, or
I'd love to go more into that actually.
yes.
What do you like about dark guys?
I don't want to say something stupid, but I don't want to contradict myself. My physical type is a darker guy, but I strongly believe that the attraction towards each other, it doesn't come from the look itself. I I know darker guys who just don't believe in themselves, who walk like it's just they're not oozing that like, yes, I'm the best and you'll be lucky if you're with me, and then even though they are tall, dark and handsome, they just don't have that something. And then I know white guys, I don't know, I go to the gym, I see white guys who just like parade themselves like they are the prize, and you can see that it's attractive, even though I'm not very attracted to white people, let's say, but I can see that they are like attractive. So for me, I'm trying to be careful about the physical aspects, but also the vibe itself, because I don't think that the attraction has much to do with the physical aspect itself. I think the maybe many Indian men struggle with, even though they look good, or like maybe, I don't want to say good, it's very subjective, but they don't have any physical issues, but they just don't think they are worthy, and it shows on their demeanor. And that's what's not attractive to others.
How was it when you met your husband? Did you sense any of that low confidence, or was he like beaming that vibe?
It was almost 10 years ago. I was a bit different. We all grow. He was very shy. Very, very shy. The confidence was non-existent there. But I found it very sweet and attractive, to be honest, because he was very calm and collected and more on a quieter side, and he was oozing this peace, and I was completely opposite, and it really was I was really attracted to this calmer presence around him. So I was never the one who like, I don't think this you have to be like a macho type to be attractive. But I think when it comes to maybe dating itself, there has to be some sort of a vibe that you're oozing around you. And I don't think that many girls are attracted to shyness and low self-esteem and stuff. In this specific case, I liked him. I liked that he was like that. I didn't like the aggressive macho types, and I liked the things he was representing and how he was acting. But I think it's important to believe yourself and in how you look and how you act, where you come from, and all of that, for the other persons to see you attractive.
So you didn't really have any experience with Indians before that. Had you watched like Bollywood or something?
Nothing, not at all. I strongly believe my husband is the first Indian person I ever spoken to.
And then what was the first contact like with the Indian culture? What were the first impressions about that nation and those people and those cultural norms that they bring?
Mm, I'm struggling to remember like if there was any like a big moment when I was like, oh, it's a different culture. I always, when it comes to me and him, I always saw us as just two different personalities, and any issues or anything we had was just a result of two individuals coming, creating something together. I was never thinking, oh, it's because he's Indian or something like that. I never thought that. Of course, when we started dating, we were watching some Indian series or movies. He introduced me to music, to great music, which I would probably never found if it wasn't for him. One of our wedding songs was an Indian song. I really love some of the Indian music. So I was slowly introduced into the culture, but I didn't know much. So there was nothing that he had to like surprise me with, or everything I learned was new for me. So there were stuff I didn't like.
For example?
So I up to this day I'm struggling to understand the racism within India itself. I just cannot wrap my head around how can somebody say a baby born in India is not good as because the complexion is bit darker and the other baby born to a neighbor is fairer, so it's that baby is better. I know there are kids or teenagers who really have issues with their own skin, the color of their skin. I know there is this huge business of bleaching your skin and going to for detanning procedures and all of this stuff. This for me it's absurd, absurd. I cannot wrap my head around it. Yes, now even when I was speaking to you or to the guys you're coaching, I know they were telling me, yeah, it comes from, okay, we always saw white people as the standard of the beauty of everything, and but still, I cannot understand. I cannot understand.
And that actually might be the reason for their lower self-esteem,
Yeah.
because they're taught to think of dark skin as inferior from an early age, and then when they come over here
Crazy.
and they're surrounded by people with lighter colors, they think of themselves as low.
That's crazy. To me, that's crazy. My husband is beautiful. We have a beautiful child. I wish I had that color. Like, I'm working hard in summer. I'm like burning myself to have some sort of tan. Like, why would you not want that?
And the reaction from your friends you told me about as well, they say, oh, cocoa crust or something like that. They said it's such a beautiful color.
Yeah, like when sometimes we joke that our son has like this really nice cappuccino color or something. Like I just don't understand. It's breaking my heart. I hate it. I hate it so much. I just wish like this it could be removed from that continent and it would never exist again. It's really strange for me. It's hard to. It's horrible. It's horrible. I know there are. I know for a fact there are kids that committed suicide only because of the color of their skin. That's crazy, crazy. And I hate that it's themselves doing it to themselves. It's Indian being racist to Indians. It's nobody else doing crazy, crazy, crazy. When I was in India, I have seen sorry.
Sure.
I have seen on the street, I have seen advertisement for saris for some boutique shops. It was white girls wearing saris. Why? Why?
I have a friend, yeah, he went to India. He was there just as an exchange student. And then they basically made him into a model because he was pretty good looking white
White
guy. But he was like, yeah, I can be a model in India.
Oh
I'm
my
not coming back.
God.
He never came
I
back.
hate it. I just hate it.
How come your husband was even on dating apps or even open to date? Because most Indian men, I can tell you, they don't really consider that in the first place. They are like, I'm gonna get an arranged marriage anyways.
I know my husband did not want to have an arranged marriage, and I think he communicated that very clearly to his family and his parents. I don't think there was any discussion about online dating, but I know for a fact he didn't want to have an arranged marriage. He did not see, he had seen examples of arranged marriage that were not good, and I know he didn't want that for himself. And I know he decided that very, very early on, like a long time before we have met. So,
What is your experience with arranged marriage now that you're in touch with that culture? Have you seen any examples where it was working all right, or some examples where it didn't work at all?
um, I have only been in India once. Last year was my first time in India because when we were dating and when we, like in the initial phases or the first couple of years of our relationship, there was a pandemic going on, and I didn't have a chance to go and to experience more. I only also met my husband's family offline for the first time last year. So I don't have many examples. But what I can say is that I am not that set on arranged marriages being wrong. I don't like if somebody is pushed into that, of course, but the idea itself, now when I'm married, when I'm a mother, when I know how much it takes to make a relationship work, I actually think that maybe any two people, if they put that work into it, can make it. So I'm not against arranged marriages, but I know my husband didn't want it for himself.
Do you know why he was so sure about that?
I think, again, trying to be careful about his privacy and his personal life and stuff. I just think he wanted to try a different way of that.
And then you started this relationship. Were there any surprises or big misunderstandings or points where you had to really negotiate and find a compromise between you two?
Um, Again, there were very little, like not many moments where if we had an argument, I would think myself, oh, this is because he's an Indian guy. But if I really have to like dig, I know that one thing that was coming a lot in our relationship, but not between us, but him saying stuff about it, was this concept that goes on in India about what would people say, what would neighbors say, and me being the total opposite of that. God, I don't want to be rude, but I strongly believe this is who I am. Either you're with me or you can go. I don't feel like you should be changing yourself or pretending that you're something you're not, so that the neighbor at three houses down the street will not say something bad about you. So this was something I was struggling with. When he used to say stuff like, next time when you're buying trash bags, please buy black color so that neighbors don't see our trash. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what? My brain going like, what just happened? And I'm like, why would you mind our neighbors seeing that we have a can of corn or something in our trash? Like, what's so bombastic about our trash? And it just makes him uncomfortable that something he's private, even if it's just trash, it's displayed for others. So, but at the same time, I want to say now I have a client who is a 50-year-old white German lady who does the same thing so that neighbors don't see her trash. So, is it a cultural thing or is it just a personality preference? That's how you just are. Like, I cannot say if it's a cultural thing.
Totally. There is one more thing that's probably a bit more of a cultural thing, which is going home and telling your family that you're marrying someone completely outside of the culture. So, given that he's kind of thinking about his reputation a lot, how was that phase when he started kind of talking about taking this to the next level and talking to his family about it?
This phase when we were dating, there was a lot of tension caused by this. But I think it's very avoidable. So what happened with us was that when we were dating, he did not disclose the fact that we are dating or that I exist very early. or for a long time to his family, which, okay, that can be his personal choice, but it caused a lot of friction because he was telling me stuff about our future, about our life coming together, about following steps that we are going to take, while his family didn't know I exist, and he was basically hiding me. Which me personally, I took it really very badly. For me, it was a sign he's not serious. And these might just be things he's saying to me because he thinks I want to hear them, but it's not real. Very avoidable. If he would set me down and tell me, Kristina, dating how you know it, it's not existing in my culture. People cannot just date. People only tell the parents about each other when they want to get engaged, when they want to get married. It's not normal for my parents, the concept of me just being here and dating somebody. If he would have told me all of these things and explain me why and tell me from his heart how this works, I would be like, okay, okay, I would be totally on board. I would not want to cause him any troubles. But because he never did that and he thought that I just somehow know, or like he assumed I don't care, it was hard. Because I felt like he's hiding me, he's not serious with me, while he was just trying to protect his family while keeping it going with me. And this was something I was struggling with. There was also many small, okay, this I think might be a bit cultural. There were some small, let's say, lies, but nothing. I don't know if you hear, but I have a bit of an Indian accent. Do you hear
Wow, it
it?
just came out just when I noticed, when I paid attention to it.
I have been told that a lot.
Okay.
So sorry. I'm telling just for disclosure. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just that,
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just somehow it's there.
You said there were some small lies, maybe white
Yes.
lies. Can you give an example?
Yes. So I think this is something that's common in India, to just lie, and lie is not to be seen as something wrong. Me being very anxious already in general in life, and having bit of like struggles. Many people have some struggles. I had struggles with depression, maybe with a little bit of paranoia. I was always very careful about lies. I didn't want any lies around me. I couldn't handle it. I cannot. I don't want to lie because then you have to remember it 5 years later. What you lie to who? You have to be always careful, scared you get caught. Like, I hate lies. I hate it. And he would do stuff like, he doesn't want to go to an office party, so he texts back to his colleague, "Oh, I can't, I'm sick today," just because he doesn't want to go. And I struggled with it. I was like, but why? Why don't you just say, "No, thank you, maybe next time"? You don't have to say you're sick. Like, I'm not that, how do you say? Like, I don't think that just because you say sick, you will get sick. I'm not, how do you say that?
Superstitious.
Superstitious, but why? Like, it's so unnecessary. And there are many examples of these like wide lies, and I hated it because I felt like small lies lead to big lies, and then if you lie so much, maybe then you don't know when are you lying. You don't anymore see it as an issue. And I had seen him, I want to be careful what I say, but I have seen him not be 100% honest to his close family. And that for me was a red flag, a huge red flag, because I was like, if these are his closest people and he's not honest with them, how will that be with me? And when I confronted him after some time, he said, "Oh, but like in India, it's just a norm. Like everybody's lying left, center, and right. It's just a norm. You have to lie because otherwise you will be lied to." Like, it's a thing. And I'm like, no, just no, like, then you stop it, like, you can stop it, like, don't do it anymore. I was really scared of the whole lies concept, and this is something he told me, oh, it's normal in India, you have to.
Were you able to change him a little bit in that direction?
I was very, like, this was really, really struggle for me. So I was like, no lies whatsoever. No, I cannot handle it. I
And do you
cannot.
think he has assimilated and accepted that culture?
I think so. I
Yeah.
hope so. I think so. Yeah. Not that I think so. I know. I 100% believe him. He's the bestest thing ever. Like,
Yes.
I don't think he realized that it's wrong, because for him it was a norm. Yeah.
You mentioned that you had some mental instability. I think it's a very common experience, especially for Indian men. Somehow I hear this a lot, that they end up with women who are mentally not super stable. Maybe they're just not used to the way that most women are in the West,
I don't believe anybody is 100% okay.
whether
Okay.
men or women,
So
right?
yeah, like, everybody has something.
How was that for you in your relationship, handling mental instability inside a cross-cultural relationship?
When you say mental instability, it makes me look like really cuckoo. But
It's a weird word. I don't know
okay,
the right word.
so I had depression, and actually meeting him and being with him, that was also a reason why I was single for 10 years. And when I was with him, I think what helped was that at some point he was the one who said, I could see our relationship really suffering from my behavior that was rooted in these problems. And at some point, I could see that I might lose him, and I could see that he's slowly giving up. To be honest, to give him all the credit, at this point, when I see it backwards, I would have given up so much sooner than he did. So he did he lasted so long struggling with me. But then when I saw that he's slowly giving up, I went to a doctor and I got help, and I was way better very quickly. So maybe if I didn't meet him, or if he wasn't there, I would have not done that. But I was really scared of losing him, so I really acted quickly, and the help was very, very quick.
Wow. Let's talk a bit about the next stage in your relationship when it came to actually getting married. You had probably quite a few ceremonies to go through. You got married in India, right?
So that was a plan, but because our relationship started very short, wait, very shortly before the pandemic, or like we got more serious throughout the pandemic. So there was always a plan that we will get married in India. But then, because the corona happened and the borders were closed, Slovakia had very, very strict rules. We could not visit each other. So during our dating, we were doing almost 3 years of long distancing between Bratislava and Berlin. The flights were very cheap back then. We were doing Vienna and Berlin for maybe 50 euros round trip flight, and we were visiting each other very often. He was coming to Bratislava, I was coming to Berlin, and we did this for 2 and something years. And we were always planning that after the pandemic we will get married in India. Not always planning, but when we got to that stage, we were planning to get married in India and maybe have one celebration in Slovakia also. But then when the pandemic happened and the borders closed, we couldn't see each other. And the long distance relationship being hard itself got even harder because we couldn't see each other. The borders were closed and we were basically for officially strangers. So yes, husband and a wife, if they were stuck in different countries, they could reunite, but we couldn't. And we were like, okay, we have to change something because I couldn't do it. We didn't know how long this will last. Borders were closed already for 4 years, 4 months, sorry. And I was like, but what if the borders will be closed for 2 years now? We will not see each other for 2 years. Like, I cannot do this. So we decided to speed it up a bit so that we can be with each other. And we were like, okay, it was a bit of a push for us to decide, okay, where are we going to live, when are we moving and stuff.
Then the marriage, I guess, happened.
So the marriage happened in Slovakia just because the pandemic situation. And we are planning that if we last maybe 10 years, maybe we will do like a 10-year anniversary celebration in India and in Slovakia. Again, because of the rules of Corona, we had very small official wedding. We didn't have any party or anything. So we are planning that maybe later in life we will do like a proper celebration for our families.
Because I guess the Indian family was quite disappointed. It's a big
Yes.
event and they missed it.
Yeah, they were there online.
Oh yeah.
We had he had streamed it to India to his family, and it was sad. I know he was very sad after I think on our wedding day it was the first time I saw him crying after after the ceremony, when he spoke then to his parents and to his closest family, uncles and grandma and stuff. He broke down that they were not there, and it was such a huge moment in his life and they could not be there. That was very sad. So we got married in Slovakia, but very, very small ceremony and no party. So we will try to make up for that in the future.
Beautiful. How did your friends and family welcome him?
My family had no issues at all. Again, trying to be very careful, not saying something stupid, but my mom loved him from the first moment. He looks nice, and he is a super, super, super nice guy, polite, nice, very respectful. So my family loved him. I think the struggle was more on the other side of the family.
But now, after you are married, do you feel like fully accepted and welcome?
So maybe let's take it one by one. So when we were dating, I know they had worries dating. Okay, when around the time when we were going to get engaged, and they finally knew about me, and he set up a video call. They met me on a video. We did some Zoom together. I know they were worried, and they were not very happy about it at the first time.
Why?
And this is why when I felt a bit of injustice actually, because when he told me what are their worries, he said, first of all, getting divorced here is more common than in India. In India, divorce is a shame, so they were scared that marrying me means there is a bigger probability of the shame coming upon that family. Second of all, they had very not that good perception of European girls. And that's where I felt really, really like a huge injustice, because they thought all Indian girls smoke, drink, and party, and
Western girls, you mean?
Western girls. What did I say?
Indian
Oh,
girls.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry.
You can say it again.
God forbid. And I was never drunk in my life. I had never had any alcohol at all in my life. I never smoked. I was never cool, so I never partied. I was never on any party whatsoever. Maybe when I was 5 years old and somebody invited me to their birthday party. But like there is no drinking, smoking, or partying happening for me at all. While my husband, once he break from India, he was enjoying his time here, let's say. And I am the one who is getting bashed for. Okay, so that's where I was like, come on, like tell them that I'm not, like tell them. So he was trying to tell them, and I felt really, I don't know, I felt really sorry for them thinking these things. With the divorce, I couldn't argue. Yes, divorces are more common here than in India. I don't know if it's a reflection of how the relationships are so good, better in India, or just because people just don't want to get divorced in India. That I don't know. But yeah, so they had struggle when they first heard about me. They had these worries. I know there was a big discussion going on between him and his family. That happened in person, where he went to basically fight for our relationship. And I know that some of his family members were not completely on board from the beginning, but now things are totally fine. I just think they were a bit worried for him.
How is it when you meet other Indian families or other Indian relatives and acquaintances here in Germany now? Because, as I said in the beginning, it's a bit of a rare thing. And how do they react when they see you together?
Mm, when we meet Indians in general, my husband, so he being the shy, respectful guy, he would pass another Indian guy on the street and not acknowledge it at all. And I always thought it's stupid. It's just stupid. I was like, why? Why would you not say hi and this and this? Like, why would you not do that? Where are you from? And all this stuff. But then we went to Slovakia, and my husband started telling me, go tell the other Slovak, like, and then I realized, yeah, okay, I was probably being a bit racist, like, because why would he just talk to a stranger just because they are from the same continent? I get that now. So this is something I had to learn, that not every Indian person have to be our friend. But still, we live in a neighborhood where a lot, like more and more Indians are moving into, and I'm always been like, but he's always like, oh my god, please.
Yes. And then with the people that actually end up becoming your friends or who are like in your neighborhood and they know you, do you feel like they react in a special way to you being a
So
cross-cultural couple?
actually, in the same house where we moved into, there was another Indian German couple. So the guy is from India and she is German. They have a small girl, now another one. So they have two small girls now. They were already there, so we were like, oh, cool, and we started being friends. We live in a very mixed neighborhood. So we have neighbors from Puerto Rico, from Ukraine, from all around. So it's not. Um, I never feel like it's an issue or something noticeable until I speak to another Indian guy. And this is what I once told you, that the only weird reactions I ever got was from Indian men.
What kind of reaction?
So I come across many people through my work, and I often meet people for a very brief moment. I, I don't know if I should say what I. So I'm doing decluttering. I help people to declutter their houses, and I help them to get rid of stuff that they don't need. And part of it is me posting a lot of stuff online for zum Verschenken, and those people then coming to pick it up to my clients' houses and me giving it to them. And like this, in a day, I can give away 30 stuff that somebody comes and picks them up. And many people that come are Indian. And when I see somebody from India, and when my husband is not around because he would be shy, I'm like, oh, you're from India? And then they're like, yeah. I said, oh, my husband's from India. And then sometimes, like, if it's women, they're like, oh, okay, nice. And they ask me stuff. But when it's men, the reactions are very mixed. And not even through my work, but okay, it happens to me sometimes. Somebody's maybe interested in me and wants to talk to me, and again trying to be very respectful, but me having a certain type, I feel like some Indian men also might have certain type, and if I'm ever approached by somebody, it's mostly Indians or Pakistanis. And every time I say I'm already married to an Indian guy, they're like, hey, the math is not mathing. And then I go like, why? And they're like, but, and I'm like, but what? Like, why is it something surprising?
Yeah.
Like, I hate this that they already assume that, I don't know, that I'm better than my husband or something. Like, why?
Especially when they're asking you out in the
Yes.
same moment.
And they maybe don't believe that already another Indian guy did it. Like, why? I don't know. I had few very weird reactions of like almost like not even disbelief, but almost like a not disgust, but something like like why?
Yeah.
Like what do you mean why?
They approached you, but apparently they didn't think it's possible to actually successfully approach you as an Indian
Like
man. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that?
because I think that they don't assume that a white woman would be married to an Indian guy, which I again hate. Like, why would you? I didn't say it in this interview yet. I already told you. Like in my eyes, when I compared me to my husband, he is 150% the the price in that relationship. Like I am lucky to have him. I can thank God every day that I have met him. He is he is so nice and calm and smart and successful and respectful, and he has such a good values and such a good heart. He is such a hardworking guy. Like he is so many such great things. Most of them I am totally not, but because I'm white, I am seeing I am seeing like that prize in there. But why? Like just because I'm white, how did I accomplish that? I didn't do anything to be white, yet I am the prize there. I my it's not mapping. Like it seems like they can do whatever, they can be however successful, however good people, but because they're brown, they are not good enough for a white woman. I hate it. I really hate it. And the end, I wanted to say that the reactions I got, it was never from a woman, never ever. All the weird reactions were from men. All the women all the women, all my friends, all females are always like, oh, cool. I show them pictures, like they are interested how we met and everything. While the men are always like, what? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it. I find it weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're a pioneer in some ways.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's like my parents also had a cross-cultural marriage.
How can I be that I pioneer? I am. How am I pioneer? How old are you?
Now I'm 35, so those were like early pioneers, yeah.
I
But
think we
then
should just call it the norm.
why not? I guess there is a lot of fear from most people about the cultural difficulties of bringing two completely different cultures together. Now you're married, now you have a child, you have a family. Do you feel like there is a big conflict of cultures in your
Nothing.
family?
There are small stuff I can talk about, but we had all the issues, troubles, problems, fights we ever had were only interpersonal, normal new parents, newly married, in a new town, normal stuff, day to day stuff. There
Human
was
to human.
never anything cultural there,
Human.
except me. Yeah, like except me having issue with this racism with this in India. Like there are stuff I don't like about that culture, but that has nothing to do with us.
Yeah. How is it now with a child in the picture? You have a son. He's still young, but starting
Mhm,
to probably ask questions and form his own identity.
mhm.
And do you think there is any challenges awaiting you there?
I cannot imagine. So we have a 3-year-old son. He like in terms of culture, okay, I come from one culture, he comes from different culture, and we live here in a third culture. So I our son has an Indian name and a Western name, totally useless. I don't know why it's even there. It's my fault. When I was pregnant, I thought, okay, like he has to have an Indian name. I totally agree, but he also has to have a Western name. How will I? Because the culture is so new for me. How will I be calling my own child with an Indian name only? Like nobody ever in these 3 years said the Western name. Nobody ever used it. It just makes his name long. It's totally unnecessary, totally my fault. Nobody's using that. So he has 2 names. He speaks both languages fluently. We live in a third language country, so I just don't see any issues. I just see benefits. So we get to go to India. We all have OCIs now. I don't know if you
Overseas citizenship of
Yes,
India. Yeah.
I'm an overseas citizen of India. We have all OCIs. We can travel there. We have, like, I just see the benefits. I don't see any issues. If I should be completely honest, the only issue we have maybe is that when we go to India, my husband's family, or like his mom, my mother-in-law, he doesn't come from any small village. He comes from a 5 million citizen city, but their ways there are a bit different than here. And for example, their dress code is quite different than here. And when we come there, my mother-in-law always asks me if I could maybe like wear more clothes than I wear here. And I was struggling with that only because it's so warm there. And I hate winter, hate cold, I hate the weather in Berlin. And when I come to India where it's 30 degrees, I just want to have like short dress or something, but for them it's a no-go. What would people say and all of this? And for me, having to suffer in long leggings and long sleeves in 30 degrees just because my mother-in-law thinks that this is too much skin to be showing, it's hard for me. But is it worth all of what I'm having? Yes, 100%. Why it's a bit struggle for me is that I know it doesn't come from any religion. It's just this society. What would society? And because I don't see any real reasoning behind it, for me it's hard to cope with it. But will I do it for them? 100%.
How did the cultures rub off on both of you? Did you embrace parts of Indian culture?
Yes, I think I think in our relationship I am the one pushing the Indian culture because I really, as I said, I love the music and I'm blasting Spotify old Indian romantic songs throughout our apartment, and my husband is like, because for me it's new and it's beautiful. For him, he's like, like this is what my dad used to play in our house when I was 10, and it's not like great to have these flashbacks of all this sad music and this. I don't understand what they say in those songs. So for me, it's beautiful. But I am very much into music. As I said, in our wedding, in our marriage, I think we had Terabina. I don't know if you know the song from A.R. Rahman, Terabina.
Terabina, na, 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 na.
So Terabina was playing there. I love a lot of Indian songs. I'm trying not to push it onto my husband, but I have an Indian playlist in my Spotify and I play it a lot. My newest obsession is Dekatenu. I don't know if you know that. Okay. And when our son was born, we very early on decided we have to speak both of our languages to him. So he is fluent in Slovak and he is fluent in Canada, and he speaks to me Slovak and to my husband Canada, while we speak English together, and he goes to German kita. So that's 4 languages already. But I think that's also a gift. Like 3-year-old speaking 4 languages, like wow, like I think that's a gift. I love Indian food, so I think I make decent palak paneer, decent one. Like I think our cultures are just like, I don't see any issues. When 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 I was for the first time in India, I came back with 2 full suitcases of beautiful dresses because that fashion I have never seen before. Those dresses are so nice, such nice quality. It's all cotton, and the fabrics, the patterns, the colors, I had never seen it before. I couldn't resist it. I'm wearing some Indian jewelry that I got from my mother-in-law. I wear it every day. I don't take it off. And when we were also, my husband, he doesn't mind if I play some Slovak folklore songs. He knows some of them. Like I can hear him saying some words in Slovak a lot. Like when I am obsessed with some song, he's also like familiar with it. I don't see any issues. When we were in India last year, I don't remember the exact conversation, but I know that two priests came to my husband's family house. And I think very briefly, my husband or my mother in law asked me if I'm willing to do some sort of puja or ceremony. And I was like, yeah, yeah. What I, what I think had happened was, I'm not sure. I don't want to make it up. And I know it sounds stupid, but for me, I could see it's very significant for my mother-in-law that this happens, and I knew it will have no negative impact on me, so I was on board completely. But I know I was sitting on the floor for 2 hours and there were priests doing some puja on me, and I think maybe I converted to Hinduism. I'm not sure. I think that's what happened. But as I said, in my day-to-day life, it has no. It's my mother-in-law is religious. It was important for her. I was completely on board. We have a small Ganesha hanging in our apartment, so when there are stuff and there are festivals and stuff, sometimes we pray. My son learned how to do puja from the grandma last time, so sometimes he goes around the apartment and he does some. Sorry, I did the Christian one. Sorry. He does some puja and like sometimes he does Ganesha. So I think we are just blending it very organically. I don't feel like we are pushing anything. I love the food. I love the music. I love going to India. My husband has a very good relationship with my family. He likes going to Slovakia. We have a child who speaks many languages and is excited to travel there and there, and I don't see any issues. The only issue we have is that since we don't live in a since we live in a third country, we are alone here. So the family members have to come here or we have to travel to see them, but that's the only thing. But I think that has nothing to do with cultures. If
I remember you told me there's a deal that you go and visit your parents and then also his parents at least once a year each.
So we agreed that for one time a year we will go for some 3-4 weeks to India for sure, and then the Indian grandparents are coming once a year to here. So twice a year we see them in person. Slovakia the same, but every day we speak on the phone. So every day my son calls to India and calls to Slovakia and he speaks with the grandparents. And for him it's very normal. My son, when he was very, very small, if he was asked, where are you from? He always say, half I'm from India, half I'm from Slovakia. Like it's very normal for him. Wow. Very normal.
That's beautiful. The religion thing, it's so beautiful that Hinduism has that flexibility and doesn't like push you to do anything specific. But still, I wonder how you feel about, your son and your husband practicing a religion that you don't really have an access to.
I don't think my mother-in-law will ever see this interview, so I will try to maybe say it honestly, but my husband was never very active in practicing his religion. I know his mom is and his grandma was, and there is a nice puja room in their home, and the festivals are important for them. And when there is a festival, the grandma always wishes us and we wish her back. But my husband is not connected that much into like daily practice of his religion. And for my son, it's just fun. Now we go to India and he had seen people doing this. So every time he saw any statue whatsoever, he was doing this. Even when we were in a zoo and there was a statue of a monkey, he was doing this. So I don't see us as coming from different religions, really.
Yeah. Great. Coming to an end slowly, I want to ask you, what would be your advice to other Indian men who are living abroad and would love to have a cross-cultural relationship?
I strongly believe that attractions come from a confidence. I don't see any reason why would not somebody not give a chance to an Indian guy. I know also some funny stories about Indian guys, but I think it's just I know for example a story of a guy telling Indian guy telling a German girl he loves her during their first meeting. Maybe that's not that great, let's say. Maybe he was so excited, but also then it shows he himself is surprised it's happening. I think really, I think really they should really work on their self-esteem and confidence, and I don't see any reason why would not an European girl want to be in a relationship with Indian guy.
And that's obviously something that you can reach out to if you want to work on your confidence. There is a link in the description where you can learn more about how I help with that. One last question. There's also a lot of Indian women, no, Western women watching sometimes. They come to me, like you, saying, yeah, we're actually very open to dating Indian men and we're not sure why it's not working. What is your advice to Western women who are in a relationship with an Indian or looking for one?
So if I could go back in time, I would probably try to find out more about the culture earlier in the relationship. As I said, I didn't see why should be different. Why should there be some issues? So I was not keen on like googling how is it to date an Indian guy or anything like that. Now I think if I did or if he was a bit more open with me, maybe I would not struggle so much with some of the cultural things. So for Western women, I would maybe say maybe to learn about some small stuff before so that you're not caught off guard. But for the guys, I really think just believing that you're worth it, and then others will also see you as you're as worthy.
Worthy.
Worthy, yes. I really think they're robbing themselves of these chances by not thinking they are good enough, which is sad.
Thanks so much, Kristina, for sharing this unique perspective that I believe a lot of people would benefit from. And if you want to learn more about this whole topic, subscribe to this channel, like this video as well. And for now, Samga Chadvam, Namaskar.